Just before we get into the video proper, just show you one marigold, lovely in flower there, opened itself up to the sun. And here we have Junus and Charis too on their sunbathing lounge and having a little play fight. Oh dear, pack it in you two. We'll leave them to it. Remember, we're in February still, not even halfway yet. This is this clover that just grows so prolifically, puts out these beautiful yellow flowers and obviously attracts the bees. So I thought I'd just share that. And the succulent on the corner, that puts out these pretty flowers as well. So there is the sun. Hopefully you can see it. And a mixture of cloud and blue skies. So we'll just go down. Let's see. Oh look, something else coming into flower. Don't know what sort of bush it is. And here we have rosemary in full glory, and you might be able to hear Junus doing his wow noise. He's gone up to the road, probably calling for Damiana and for Junus. So we'll get on to the purpose of this video. It is a reading. It was a request following on from the general reading I did yesterday. So I asked for permission. I said, could I make this reading public? Because what I feel about this reading is it's pretty much an extension of that general reading. What's already transpired, and I hadn't actually considered this, the reading I did yesterday with the 7 cards. It sort of come to me how I can see how it fits the life in the present moment of people I actually know. It's quite amazing, really. Here we have Junus and Charis come to join us. Anyway, without further ado, we shall get to the reading. Correction, just a little interim. Now Damiana has come to join us. She's the one laying down at the back there. That's Junus there, the lighter colour one. Brother and sister, and the cat that was feral that replaced the original Charis who disappeared. This is Charis too. He's such a playful thing. Right, so before we start with the reading, a little bit of etymology for you. Now, a long time ago I spoke about the word doctor, and asking the question of why would you want your oars docked? That's one interpretation. That's going with the negative default, looking on the negative side of things. But what about the positive equivalent of that? So the word doctor, D-O-C-T-O-R, it's a reflection. It's giving you advice not to consult the doctor. But look at the word, look at the spell. Do K Tor. It's inviting you to do, to take action, to see the door. It's said that when one door closes, another one opens. Oh, careful, Damiana. You nearly upset my sort of temporary table here. One moment. Another way of expressing it, if we substitute the letter C for the letter K, so it's D-O-K-T-O-R. So now, where you visualize the letter C, it's almost a circle, but it's broken. It's sort of implying there's 2 ways. It also sort of reflects from that center point. You've got a left eye and a right eye, just like the optic nerve that from the 2 eyes comes together. gives you a perception of depth of things in this physical reality. But with the mind's eye is singular. So the letter K consists of that upright pillar. That's your spine. That represents the eye. Now you've got two ways of going, an upper and a lower, a positive and a negative that leads through a door. Now you'll be presented with 4 doors. You have a positive door, you have a negative door. What is it with Damiana? She keeps wanting to climb on this, try and sit on my lap when I'm doing this reading. I apologise for the sort of feline interruption there, but wouldn't want to be without the 3 of them. Beautiful. Anyway, getting back to the reading. So yes, you have a positive way and a negative way. They are surrounded by the door where you came in, which is birth, and the door where you go out, which is known as death. It is just a doorway. You cross another threshold. That is not the end. So let's get to the reading. This is sort of becoming a way I'm doing the cards, reading in as a 7. So the base, this lower part, this is the underlying question, which leads to the reading with the 3. So at the base of this, the first card is the 2 of birds. Now the 2 is like that letter K. You've got 2 roots, as it were. The card represents antagonism, a denial of anger. There's still some inner work to do, some deep diving, learning to master your emotions. So if you look at the 2 birds, the serpent in this case represents the emotions where we can go from feeling positive to extremely negative. It weaves. And it's in the lower part of the card, so it's the lower emotions, it's mastery of those. Now next card is the Ace of Trees, where, as reflected at the start of this video, early signs of spring, fresh beginnings. That's, you can see here, is represented by a fetus in a womb. It's a new birth, something that's opening up to you. Why is it opening up to you? Because it is the Hanged Woman. You're seeing things from a very different perspective from the rest of the world. It's a time for inner reflection that is leading to this spring of something new coming into your life. Following it back with the 4, because 4 is a door. The reason for this is you're requiring a safe environment, a place of wealth and security. Now that equally can mean in the spiritual as in the material. So you can see this in a way as like your foundation stones. It's not really oh dear, but it is a deer being shown here. And you'll notice at the top there you have 3 suns, so I would recommend you take that middle path. You've got 2 other choices. You can see things in a positive way, you can see things in a negative way, but there is a middle path between the 2. So a bit like lunar and solar astrologies and things. It's something Levette talks about on her channel, this 3rd middle path. So we've got a theme of trees, which is about, trees represent wisdom. They're connected to earth, they reach towards the light. And of course, now coming on to the reading, what we have here is the 10 of trees, followed by the 10 of stones. That's highly significant. You've got 2 10s here. I lost my place. Yes, so referring back to that general reading, this 10 of stones came out. You've got these footprints. That's your soul. It's your higher self represented by the footprints of the bird. And then you cross a point. It's the point you're at now, basically. And of course it is going to lead to another steeper path. It's the levelling up, like in a computer game. But there is a rainbow to be discovered. Referring back to what a lot of channels have spoken about, it's just come into the mind about rainbows. They're always in the same places. So I would suggest that the rainbow is your aura is growing. You're creating that spiritual armour of protection around yourself. Now, interestingly, we go from 2 10s to a 5. So the 5 of stones represents finding your own values. So it refers back to that general reading about boundaries. Making discoveries, recognising your own power. Changing the way through inner conviction. So if we look at the figures here on this card, this one, this biggest figure, because it is your higher self in an expanded form, you've got this, it's sort of heart-centered, this inner realization of self, recognizing your power. It's being fueled from the earth, represented in the colour purple, which represents royalty, which represents the sort of, it's the highest colour, as it were, on the spectrum. So that is a beautiful reading to get, and I felt this needed sharing because I feel it's going to pertain to a lot of you that yesterday's reading, if it's resonated with you, then this is like the going a little bit deeper, as it were. So I'm sort of developing my own sort of tarot spread. It's sort of just coming about. I don't know if it'll increase beyond 7 cards. I could have carried the reading back further. There was another card, the Ace of Birds. So if we were to carry that base of this reading, the base, it's about going back to sources. That's reflected in one of these cards. That inner reflection, seeing things in a very different way from the rest of the world. Things may seem backwards, the wrong ways of doing things in this material external world. Remember, they're only stories. And depending on how much energy we feed into those is going to possibly make them a reality. So it is really about where the attention goes. So it comes down to this, finding this place of security and true wealth, laying the foundations, which creates this spring. You're giving to birth to yourself, as it were. It's a self birth. So it's a spiritual birth that is being shown here. From all the sort of wheels within wheels, the windmills of our minds, to Noel Harrison reference there. But a beautiful song. It reads like poetry. I was listening to it the other day. I don't know why it's sort of come into the mind. Maybe it's just because of this sort of wheels within the wheels, the circles of our mind, because things do keep going round and round in our minds. But when we can still the minds, and from that I mean just observe where your thoughts go with things. Look at what you're looking at and what you're listening to. Is it serving you? Is it benefiting benefiting you? Is it leaving a nasty aftertaste? Is it leaving a sickness feeling in the pit of your stomach? They're maybe not the things to be sort of inwardly digesting. When to go down that route, it's very much like the whole social media. If you don't recognize it, it will suck you in. It will try and emit emotion. So the boundaries, the standing out from the crowd, that finding that inner self, the earth, but it's basically the earth symbol being shown there. There's your four corners of the earth. The corners are right in the middle that forms those two L's, as it were. I'm sorry it's going out of focus on here. I don't know why it won't. There we are. And it's got a sort of crown on the top of that. It's your crowning glory, shown in an inverted triangle, as it were. Because you've got roots down to the fires, the core of earth, which is the core of the heart. You're rising like a phoenix from this fire, effectively. Standing out from the crowd, radiating out a new energy, a new discovery. You're crossing a boundary. What a wonderful reading. And I certainly hope that has resonated for many more of you. I do hope more will be drawn to discover what I can at least sort of show in the cards. That it's taking a sort of a counsel of the now moment. They are a timeless tarot. You'll hear it when you're meant to hear it. You'll see it when you're meant to see it. Don't think that I feel inferior to anybody else. It's like to create. If you're cooking if you're making a cake, for example, the ingredients have all got to be in the right quantities. The conditions have got to be right, i.e. the oven has to be at the right temperature for things to rise. So your spiritual path is very much like this. We see things and we hear things when we're meant to see them, but what a fantastic reading, because I've had this feeling, and I've said it on previous videos, that many of you are going to go through what can only be called mystical experiences, something that you'll see and feel and see in the mind's eye inside yourself. It's a personal experience known only to you. To the external world, very few, if at all, will even recognize it, unless, of course, they are on the same frequency, and they may well see it. They may see it in your aura. But the collective will be oblivious to it because they've not addressed those inner issues, overcome the emotions. They're still being swayed by the emotions from suggested scripts, things we call news. There's nothing new about them. It's just trying to harvest your energy, basically. But it's all lessons to learn through going through experiences. So I really do hope that has helped more of you. If you feel so inclined, please do like and share, because it's no different from picking up on a broadcast from a radio station. If you tune into the right frequency, you'll hear it, you'll see it, and you will experience it. And do let me know in the comments if you have any, what can only be called mystical experiences, because I feel a lot of you are going to be going through it. It seems to be being reflected in these cards. So as always, unconditional love to you all. Do check out the description on other things I may be able to help you with. This is a doctor that is going to help you see those four doors, help you see that fifth door, to be honest. The one that goes between the positive and the negative, that sees both sides, finds that middle path. I don't practice. I don't have any patience, as in a customer type patience, but I have a lot of patience. And as is often said, time will tell. Everything in this realm is subject to time. The cards are just here to help guide you of seeing things as they are in the moment. They're not predictions of the future. What you do with the information, how you respond or react to it, that's entirely up to you. This is just reaffirming what you're probably feeling inside yourself, but maybe those sensations, those feelings may seem new to you, so it's learning the language of what is being communicated internally. The secret is in the feeling, as Neville Goddard says, and that is the title of a lecture you can look up on YouTube, very much worth listening to. And a big thank you for the donations. This reading stemmed from the last video where I sort of basically put out an appeal. So both myself and the cats can live another week, as it were. But excuse me, that doesn't not meant to sound so dramatic. But hopefully this reading is for much for me, that this is the start of something new. A new tree is being born. I'm offering out the olive branch, as it were, so it must be an olive tree. So as always, unconditional love to you all.